everyone! Let's hook this little doll together. Mini bear. Take a look at the shape. It's very simple and cute. The hooking method is also very simple. Perfect for novice crochets. Let's hook this mini bear together. We start with the legs. Wrap the yarn around your fingers and take it off. Lay the yarn with your left hand. Change your left hand and pinch this place. Then the crochet goes in. Wrap the yarn around and pull it over. And then what we do is we hook it. Pull this little loop. This is a chain stitch. And what happens next? We threaded the crochet inside the ring. Hook 6 single crochets. Crochet in. Then the crochet presses the thread and pulls it over. Then pull the 2 loops together. This is a single crochet. We mark the first single crochet. Let's take a look. The stitch is a V-shaped shape like this. Continue to hook the second stitch and thread the crochet. The crochet presses the thread and pulls it over through the 2 loops. This is the second stitch. The third stitch, press the thread and pull it over. Then the fourth stitch. Fifth stitch. 6. Let's take a look. Just hook these 6 single crochets in total. So what we do is we pull this little yarn tail really tight. This will form a small disc. We used a stitching method of a spiral hook. So after the first round, no need to crochet slip stitches to connect. Then in the second round, we hooked 6 increases. We went directly to the first single crochet that we marked just now. Thread crochet inside the stitch. Just started hooking a new round. Just through it like this. The end of the yarn is transverse to one side. Hook inside. First hook a single crochet. Mark it well. Next, threading the crochet through the first stitch. Then hook a single crochet. This is an increase. 1 increase is equal to 2 single crochets. 2 crochets in each stitch. Continue. Thread crochet through the second stitch. Hook a single crochet. Then another single crochet. The second increase is done. According to this method, hook all the 4 increases at the back. What about after the second hook? We will become 12 stitches. Okay, second round completed. Again, no need to connect. Now we hook the third round. The third round. Hook 1 single crochet in each stitch. But something has changed. We only pick the back loop of this single crochet. Keep the front loop of the stitch and leave it alone. 1 single crochet in each stitch. Pick the back loop of stitches. Let's take a look. The first stitch is hooked with a single crochet. Again, better marked. Then the second stitch. Third stitch. Each stitch only picks the back loop of the stitch, leaving the front loop of the stitch. only this round. Let's take a look. The third round is hooked. Just leave the front loop of stitches like this. Now we move on to the fourth round. Still one single crochet in each stitch. Just through this single crochet normally. Hook these 12 stitches. Let's hook. Through this single crochet normally. Mark the first stitch. This is what we're hooking now, the leg part of the mini bear. So let's take a look. After the fourth round, our first leg is hooked. Then lengthen the thread. There is a thread tail and cut the yarn. Then let's connect. Use this suture needle to connect it. Skip the first stitch. Thread the needle like this from the second stitch. And then you find the last single crochet. Pick its back loop of stitches, along with this little loop below, coming through like this. With the suture, a new stitch is formed. So it's connected. Then you can hide this thread tail inside. We're done with the first leg. According to this method, we can hook the second leg well. Hook until the fourth round. After the hook is done, don't cut it. So, according to the method just now, this is the second leg. Don't cut it. And then we threaded the crochet into the first stitch. Hook the yarn over and pull it directly to the back loop. This is a slip stitch. Connect like this. What's next is we attach the first leg. Hook 3 chain stitches first. After hooking these 3 chain stitches, we attach the first leg. Let's take a look. You can thread the crochet anywhere you want. Normally, we thread the crochet where the thread is broken. Through it like this. Hook the yarn. Pull it over and hook a single crochet. Mark this stitch. This is the first stitch of our 5th round. What's next? Hook the remaining 11 stitches. I just got a hook, right? Then hook the 11 stitches normally. So let's take a look. All 12 stitches of the first leg are hooked. After the hook is done, then this place of the 3 chain stitches in the middle. Here we are, hooking 3 single crochets. Let's take a look. Thread the crochet directly like this. Hook the first stitch. Second stitch. Then the third stitch. Okay, after these 3 stitches, these 12 stitches for the second leg, hook them all. It's the stitches we hooked from the beginning. This is where the first stitch is threaded. Hook the original 12 stitches. Okay, let's take a look after hooking it over. There we go again, these 3 chain stitches between us. This place. Let's hook 3 single crochets on this side. 1 stitch. 2 stitches. 3 stitches is good. We're officially done on the 5th round. After this whole round is hooked, there are 30 stitches in total. The 2 legs were successfully connected together. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook the body parts. That's the part of the 6th round. What about round 6? 2 single crochets and 1 increase. Repeat the hook 10 times. Hook a stitch inside the first stitch and mark it. Then thread the crochet into the second stitch. Hook a single crochet. Here are 2 single crochets. An increase is hooked inside the third stitch. Hook a V. Let's take a look. 2 single crochets and 1 increase. According to this method, this whole round is hooked a total of 10 times. First hook 2 single crochets. Then an increase. It was done the second time. According to this method, hook all the next 8 times. What about the single crochet? We use the letter for X. The increase is represented by the letter for V. And you're learning to look at the diagram. Later, we can see that the diagram is hooked alone. So what about after we hook this whole round? There are 40 stitches in this round. The last stitch must be an increase. Let's take a look. We have officially completed round 6. Okay, let's take a look at our 6th round. And we're going to do the 7th round. The 7th round. 3 single crochets and 1 increase is a group. Repeat the hook 10 times. First hook 3 single crochets. After the first stitch is hooked, mark it well. Then the second stitch. Third stitch. Okay, so that's 3 single crochets. There is an increase hooked inside the 4th stitch. Okay, it's a combination. 3 single crochets and 1 increase. You need to hook 10 times. The second time, hook 3 single crochets first. Then an increase. It was done the second time. Then hook all the next 8 times. Everyone follow me to hook. After the 7th round is hooked, it becomes 50 stitches. And we're going to do the 8th round. For the 8th round, we first separated 11 single crochets, hook an increase, then 12 single crochets and 1 increase. It's a combination. Repeat the hook twice. So let's start with 11 separate stitches. Hook a single crochet. Make a mark with the first stitch.
做一个标记。
Then the second stitch.
第3针，第4针，5、6、7、8、9、10。
11. After hooking these 11 stitches, we threaded the crochet through the 12th stitch. Hook and increase. 11 single crochets and 1 increase, and then 12 single crochets.
1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、11、12。
Separate the 12 stitches, then hook and increase. 11 single crochets and 1 increase, 12 single crochets and 1 increase. We need to repeat this hook again. Separate 11 stitches first. Then hook and increase. And then 12 stitches apart. Hook 1 increased. Then hook another increase. And round 8 is completed, turned into 54 stitches. After the 8th round, now we go on to the 9th round. We need to add another color to it. Alternate the 2 colors like this to hook. Let's use the original color first, just this brown yarn. 19 stitches first. The first stitch is still marked. Second stitch. This brown yarn, we need to hook 19 stitches. Then after we hook 18 stitches, we need to change the color in advance. Let's hook 18 stitches first. Okay, 18 stitches are hooked. This is 18 stitches of brown. When you hook the 19th stitch, we change the color in advance. Thread the crochet in. Hook the yarn and pull it over. This is the 19th stitch. So I don't need to combine this brown yarn with a stitch. We changed a new color yarn. Let's take a look. Just hook the white yarn like this and pull it over. That's it. So the color change is successful. The brown yarn. Don't cut it off. When you hook again later, hook it together directly. You can also put it here. Let's take a look. And this white thread tail, hook inside. The white yarn needs to be hooked with 11 stitches. The 2 wires are all across this place like this. 11 stitches of white yarn. First stitch, then second stitch. Third stitch. Fourth stitch. A total of 11 stitches need to be hooked. We also need to hook 10 stitches first. The 11th stitch. Change the color in advance. So let's take a look. Hook these 10 stitches first, and then the 11th stitch goes in. Hook the yarn and pull it over. Then put down the white thread and replace it with a brown yarn. Use brown yarn to merge the stitches. This stitch still belongs to this white yarn, so the color mixing is successful. We'll just use this brown thread. Just hook another 24 stitches. The white yarn is placed directly here. Don't worry about it. No need to hook it horizontally. How many rounds after that? We will keep changing colors like this. Everyone mainly learns this method of changing colors. Every time you change color, it's all the last stitches of the previous color. Change color in advance. This way, there will be no traces left. Okay, our ninth round is officially completed. Okay, what about after we hook this ninth round? We continue for the 10th round. What about the 10th round? The first thing is to hook 18 stitches with this brown yarn. Let's hook the first stitch. Mark it. Second stitch.
3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、11、12、13、14、15。
After the 16 stitches are hooked, everyone will take a look because we're going to change this white yarn later. Right, so when we hook 17 stitches, thread the crochet. We take the white yarn from this side. Hang directly on this crochet like this. In the middle, keep it loose. Don't pull it too tight. Then normally hook the 17th stitch with brown yarn and pull this white yarn over here. Fix it in this place. The 17th stitch is hooked. Then the next 18 stitches. Thread the crochet in and hook the thread out and pull it over. Then we will change the color in advance. Change to this white color. 2 loops together. So the color change is successful. Then what about the white yarn? We hooked it 13 more stitches. 1. This white thread we pulled over earlier. Leave it alone. Just let it stay loose like this. It's on the inside. Leave it alone. For a while, we need to pull this brown thread for him again. The same is true. Just pull it loosely.
3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。
Let's take a look.
大家看一下。
Then thread the crochet when you hook the 12th stitch. And what about the brown yarn? It's so loose. Pull it over like this.
搭在钩针上面。
And continue with this white yarn to hook the 12th stitches. Then we need to change the color in advance. Replace this thread naturally with this brown thread. That's it.
这样就可以了。
Then use brown yarn to hook all the 23 stitches at the back. What about these 2 yarns? Just leave it like this.
后面呢还会有几根，都这样给它松松的待着就可以了。
What's next? We'll put the 23 stitches in the back. Just hook it all with brown yarn. Then after the 10th round is hooked. Next, we will continue to hook rounds 11 and 12. And the hook method we just hooked for round 10 is exactly the same. You're following me until round 12.
大家跟着我呢，一直钩到第12圈。
Okay, we got to round 12. It's exactly the same as this hook on round 10. It's all brown yarn with 18 stitches, 13 stitches white yarn, brown yarn with 23 stitches. So we're going to go on round 13. 19 stitches of brown yarn first. Mark the first stitch.
2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、11、12、13、14、15、16、17。
Then when we hook the 18th stitch again, pull the white yarn over loosely like this. Just bring it. We're going to hook 19th stitches. Change color in advance. We will naturally change to this white yarn. Then hook the white yarn for another 11 stitches.
第3针，第4针，5、6、7、8、9。
What about the 10th stitch? Pull the brown yarn loosely over and fix it.
固定一下。
Let's take a look. Then the 11th stitch hooks the thread and pulls it over. Change to brown yarn in advance. That's it. Next, use brown yarn to hook 24 stitches. So what about after we hook the 13th round? And round 14, I put the diagram on the screen. Just follow the diagram to hook.
第14圈。
We are now on round 26. Let's look at the white yarn up front. We got this on round 14. And then it's all this brown yarn.
都是这个棕色线了，不加针不减针，勾到了第26圈。
There are now 54 stitches. Next we hook round 27. We need to reduce the stitches. On round 27, 7 single crochets and 1 decrease is a group. Repeated hook 6 times. Let's hook. First hook 7 single crochets. The first stitch is still marked. Then the second stitch.
第3针，第4针，第5针，第6针，第7针。
Hook these 7 single crochets. Then hook a decrease. Let's take a look at this method of decreasing. We just put this 8th stitch and this 9th stitch. The 2 stitches of the stitch are reduced to 1 stitch. Let's look at this method. First, pick up the front loop of the 8th single crochet, this single loop. Then pick up the front loop of the 9th stitch. Then the crochet hooks the yarn through both loops at the same time. Then put the 2 loops together. This is a decrease. 7 single crochets and 1 increase. Repeated hook 6 times. First hook 7 single crochets. Okay, hook a decrease. The method is the same. So first of all, you pick up the front loop of stitches. Then pick up the front loop of stitches. Hook the yarn and pull it over. Then parallel the stitches. That's it. The decrease. And we do that with the letter symbol A. I'll see the alphabet symbol A later. Just reduce the stitches like this. Hook 7 stitches first. Well, let's take a look at the decrease. Pick up a stitch of the front loop. Then pick up the front loop of the stitch. Hook the yarn and pull it over. Then parallel the stitches. Just follow this method. We put this on round 27. How about the next few rounds? We'll continue to reduce stitches. So just look at the diagram. Just hook all the back parts. Everybody follows the diagram. Hook until round 35. We've been following the diagram. Hooked round 35. As it gets smaller and smaller, fill it with fiber fill in advance. It includes the lower to legs. It must be filled with fiber fill. Next, we continue to hook the last round of this body part. Round 36. Hook 6 decreases in this round. The first decrease. Mark it well. Then the second decrease. The third decrease. Fourth decrease. Then the fifth decreases. Sixth decrease. So let's take a look. Hook these 6 decreases. And what happens is we lengthen the end of the yarn. Leave a long tail. Cut directly. We use stitches. Tighten this opening. Take a look at these 6 stitches. We take the front loop of the stitches. And then tighten it. That's it. There are no holes in it, and you run it through the rest. Cut the long part directly. Let's take a look. This body part of our little bear. It's done. It's very simple. So, let's go back to the diagrams. Hook the mouth of this little bear well. It is also 6 single crochets in magic ring. After the 6 stitches are hooked, leaving a long threaded tail, then 6 increases in the second round, and 12 single crochets in the third round. So we're going to follow the diagram to hook. Hook the parts of the 2 hands. I'll give you the diagram later. So let's take a look. This is part of the ear. From 6 single crochets in magic ring. And then you do it all the way to the 4th round. After the hook is done, fold it in half and pinch it flat. And then what happens back and forth? This corresponds. Back and forth threading. Hook a single crochet. Then 2 single crochets. 3 stitches. 4 stitches. 5 stitches. What about the hand part? Let's do the last round. After that, just pinch it flat and hook it like this. As for the hands, just pinch the flat hook and 3 stitches in total. Then pull the yarn over. Leave a long yarn. Later for suturing. This is the part of our ear. As for the ears, you also need to hook to for him. So what's next? I'll put this ear first. The mouth and the diagram of this hand are typed on the screen. Everybody follows the diagram. So let's take a look. We hooked it like this for each part. Let's start with the 2 little hands. Sew it on this body. The part where we let go first. So let's take a look at the suture position, counting up from the last round of the legs. Right between rounds 18 and 19. This place is fine. Start with the legs and count down. Sewing in this position. Keep it in a straight yarn with the legs. Let's sew. Just sew it in this position. There is no need to put this PP cotton on this hand. Just sew it up like this. It's very simple. And after we sew this hand, let's follow the same method again. Just sew the other hand symmetrically like this. It's very simple. Follow me to sew again. So let's take a look. We gave him two little hands and sewed them all up. And we're going to sew on this ear. Count from the center of your head. We raised sewing on this 6th round. Just take a back position. Then this ear. Also sewed him at the back of the 6th round. 12 yarns and 12 rounds between the ears. Let's sew. Sewing on this 6th round. Start at the back of round 6. Pierce the first stitch. We sew the first and second stitches together. What about the penultimate stitch and the second stitch? Sew it together. Then sew the second stitch in this place as well. Then the middle part is sewn with 1 stitch corresponding to 1 row. And what about the last 2 stitches? In this way, it will form a slightly curled, this state. Hide the bottom part again. Take a look at this ear, and you're done. According to the same method, let's put another ear. It's symmetrically sewn up. After sewing the 2 ears, we put 2 eyes on it. Also count up from the last round of this leg, sewing this position between rounds 23 and 24. Then there are 10 stitches between the 2 eyes. Install both eyes. What's next? Let's sew this mouth on top, the part of the black nose. And that's our mouth, as you can see. We're looking for a thin thread. Or is it from this black yarn? Just pull out 2 strands for it. Let's take a look. What about the part with the black nose? Just occupy the width of a row. Let's out yarn. Thread the needle through this place. And then you thread the needle down here. First, take the entire width of the nose. Sketch. And threading needles from this place. Through it like this. And then we do that. And we keep pulling. Just cover it all with black thread. Keep repeating this process. Okay, what about after the nose part is sketched? We're going to thread the needle down here. Then draw a black yarn like this. That's it. And what happens next? We are on the inside of this. What about the end of this yarn? Give it like this. Tie a knot to fix it.
固定一下，
Then put the end of this yarn. Just put it on that side for him.
放到那一侧就可以了。
It will be sewn inside in a while. What's next? Let's put the mouth part again. Sew it on this body. So take a look. Just sew it between the two eyes. Keep the symmetry a little bit up. This side is 2 stitches away from the eye. This side is also 2 stitches away from the eye, fixed in this place. You just follow this mouth. Go to sew the out yarn of this round. Don't worry, just sew it slowly. Sew to the end. You can put a little PP cotton in it. Fill it in. Everyone follow me. Sew this mouth part on it. So let's take a look. Our very cute mini bear. It's done. This is the positive part. Let's look at the back. That's the end of our tutorial today. Thank you for watching. See you in the next tutorial.